So I have the great pleasure. I got to know Cindy a little bit through our Vesta group, which is a group, it's a collaborative network of folks that just want to help people to navigate their way if they're going through divorce, help them navigate their way through that in a more positive way than maybe could have been before. And so I was referred to Cindy. And when I heard her heart for helping kids and family, I just thought, wow, we need to get Cindy on mortgages and mindset. So tonight we have Cindy from Kids Turn San Diego. She is the executive director. She does have a crazy, amazing heart. And I'm just going to jump right in, Cindy, and say, number one, thank you for being here with us tonight.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Two, talk to us about what in the world is Kids Turn San Diego? What does that mean, and what do you guys do?
Well, it's a great question. The name is interesting because when children are going through family separation or divorce, there's a lot of conflict between the parents, and everybody's going to courts and judges, and there's attorneys involved oftentimes. And sometimes the parents forget about the impact to their children. So when we were founded over 24 years ago, Kids Turn really is the perfect name because it is time to pay attention to the kids. So that said, what do we do? So we are really about helping children feel happier, really is our bottom line. How do we do that? We have an array of programs that we offer, but really we exist to change family relationships in positive ways so children are happier. You know, one of the things that we talked about the other day is that when, over 50% or about 50% of the population gets divorced. Like, it's pretty common. Yeah. But if you turn around and you look at the people around you, none of us would know who's divorced and who's not, because it's something that you keep inside. And as children, when your parents get divorced, you do not run out on the playground and school and go, hey, guess what happened in my family? No, right? You internalize, you keep it in.
Right.
Yeah, and it's that, right. And children of all ages are impacted, and when they keep it in, then they begin to think, oh, well, maybe it's my fault. Maybe I did something wrong. If I wasn't so bad in school, if I was a better listener, it goes on and on and on. And kids take that on, that ownership of blame, oftentimes not by the parents, but really internalizing on their own. And then they feel like there's nobody else like them, because kids don't shout about it, right? Yeah. And so we offer family workshops for separated and divorced families, and we are running it virtually. But I'll tell you, when kids come into that program and we work with them ages 5 to 17, the minute that they either walk in the door or they hop on a Zoom meeting, they're seeing all these other kids. And they're like, oh, there's a lot of kids in this program. Yeah. And I am not alone is the first thing, and we go through, like with the younger kids, we ask these series of questions like, what's your favorite ice cream, chocolate or vanilla? And if you had superpowers, would you fly or would you be able to lift things? And we go through all those, and then we say, how many kids live in 2 houses or have a separated or divorced family? And every hand in the room goes up. And kids, all of a sudden, they belong somewhere. And it's that sense of belonging then that sets the stage for change.
Yeah. So you just alluded to kind of 2 things that I'm curious about, and I'd love for you to give a little bit more for those who are listening. So love that Kids Turn. I mean, the minute you started, of course, being both a child of divorce and having been divorced myself with children and working through those dynamics as a mother, I know all too well what you describe, right? And so that hit my heart, like just just spot on when we were talking the other day. But talk to me about the resources that Kids Turn does have for kids and parents, like specifically what programs are you offering, and maybe kind of in tandem right now with COVID going on, and how does that look? Because I know you said workshops and then you said Zoom, but it's like, how is that working today, and where are we at?
Happy to talk about that. So our biggest program is our family workshops for separated and divorced families. And whether it's in person or it's virtual, as it has to be for now, the impact is the same. We've actually compared the post tests and they're consistent. So I'm happy to say that is true. But basically in that program, we are unique in that we are the only co-parenting program in San Diego County that's court approved to bring the entire family. So many co-parenting programs are highly effective and they work with both parents but separately. Whereas in our program, we bring both the co-parents and the children to the same program, hopefully at the same time. Doesn't always work out. If there's a restraining order or somebody works days, Saturdays, and they have to come to an evening, it's okay. But the program is most effective when both parents and kids attend together. And it's in that program where on day one, you're listening to the children. And like we just started a program on Saturday, and not necessarily from that program, but in general on day one, the most common things that we hear from kids are, I wish that my parents would stop fighting. I wish my parents would get along better. Questions like, well, what is court? And why do they have to go to court? And how come the judge gets to decide where I live? And, the cool thing about our program, Carrie, is that the children and the parents learn the same skills at the same time, simultaneously, but at their developmental level. Right. And so the 6-year-olds and the 7-year-olds are learning what feelings are. They're looking at these cute feeling faces, that are emojis and with words connected with them. And the 8 to 11s are looking at similar ones, but they also have a lot of feeling charts that just have words on them.
I was going to say a little bit more wordy.
Yeah, exactly. And then the teens have different words, like theirs may include depression and anxiety, more advanced. And then the parents get them all. Yeah. They get to see them all. And then we're teaching like the difference between how do you share your feelings. So we teach I statements, for example, and we're teaching that to the 6-year-olds and the 5-year-olds and the 11-year-olds and the 15-year-olds and to the parents. So when people can, right. And so when everybody in a family begins to use the same language, it helps the kids to be able to articulate what they're feeling, and we help the parents to accept their feelings. One of the coolest things I think about our program, whether it's virtual or in person, is that the children write notes to their parents. We call them feeling grams. And a feeling gram may be, dear mommy, I feel really happy when we go to the beach. Please take me more. Love, Cindy. And at the same time, the feeling gram could also be, dear mommy, I feel really scared when you yell at my daddy. Please stop. Right? And whichever the note is, so those notes are delivered to the parents. And then if it's a virtual program, then the behind the scenes staff member, like myself, for example, I would read those notes aloud. So I would say, this note is for, let's say you were my mom, this note is for Carrie. Carrie, and you would go, okay, I'm paying attention. And then I would read the note. And then you have to sit with whatever your child just said to you. And sometimes parents get really defensive, because if your child just sends you a note that they're scared because you yell at their other parent, defensiveness is normal, right? And natural. But what we do is we help the parents to be able to listen, to forget about what you're thinking and feeling, and listen to your child's feeling of feeling scared. And then really what this program is about for the parents is gaining insight about your words, actions, and behaviors. Because when you gain insight, you can make a change.
Amen.
So, by the time we get to week 4, and every parent who got that note at the beginning that you make me scared because you yell, or I am not, you make me, because it's an I statement, but I feel scared because you yell at my other parent. By week 4, we're hearing the children saying, my parents learned from this program. My parents are no longer fighting. My parent is nicer to me. My parents are getting along better. And so that it's a beautiful thing, because we are able to change not only co-parenting relationships, but also parent-child relationships.
I think that's what we hit on last week, that we talked about a lot, is that those, a lot of what we bring into our adulthood has to do with things that happened when we were kids, right? And, and so if we can, I just know from my own personal experience, but, which is a limited scope, but I'm sure that I'm not the only person in the world that, has dealt with a broken relationship with another parent. And if you can restore that relationship, or at least make it so that it's not entirely disconnected, which oftentimes can happen in separated or divorced situations, what a beautiful gift for that child.
For that child, yeah.
And
it's
the parent.
Yeah, and the fact that it can be a gift for parents is also a benefit, but really it's about the child, and helping them to see their parents have positive role models. And, like we'll tell parents, you were in this for a long time. It doesn't end when you were 18, when your kids turn 18. When they're 18, it just means they can make their own decisions, but they're going to have anniversaries and weddings and babies and, college graduations and life events, and they're going to want to have both their parents there. And isn't it important to your children that the two parents figure it out so that you can both be there for your children? Yeah.
I love that thought. Well, one of my children is getting married here November 14th. So I got a little bit of that reality going on in my life right now. And it's beautiful that we can, do that together. It's a really beautiful gift, right? What new programs are you offering or coming up in your world? What does that look like?
Yeah, and I didn't even tell you, we also have counseling too. So let me just tell you that really quick. We do have a small counseling program for kids. And that we've been running for quite some time. Mostly they're children who've gone through the workshop and need to really continue that conversation.
Well, and backing up, Cindy, you said by week 4, is this a 1 month long program generally? Is that how that works?
Okay. Yeah, each family workshop is over 4 consecutive, either Saturday mornings or weekday evenings, and we offer 12 a year. So they're once a month. Sometimes they overlap, but overall we offer 12 a month or 12 a year. And so people come through that program, and then we offer counseling for children. And that's really helping children manage themselves within their families. And then our new programs, we have 2. One is coming probably in October. Nobody really knows about it yet, so you're the huge launch of this one, Carrie. We're actually going to start offering one-time parent sessions for our graduates. We're going to call it the graduate program, and it's going to become, I think it's going to be the graduate program, building the skills that you learn to be the best parent and co-parent you can be. And we have been running, our other program is called Continuing the Conversation, and that is a 2-hour advanced refresher class for parent graduates and new spouses or partners.
And how frequently do you see that parents do continue to engage after that initial workshop? What does that usually look like for you?
It really varies. When we've done that class in person, we've had up to 15 people. Over COVID, it's been more like 3. Sometimes we've had one parent, we offer it once a month. It's on the 3rd Thursday of most months. And it's a class that I actually teach it. It's probably, to be honest, the best part of my job. It gives the opportunity for parents to come back and say, hey, I'm struggling with this. And then for us to walk it through the skills, to give them a real hands-on, here's how you do it, and that's what the one-on-ones are going to be for parents too. And then our absolute newest, most exciting program will actually launch this Wednesday, and that's our KTSD All-Stars. And that is, yes, it's going to be a lunchtime interview. It's going to be a webinar series that we'll do once a quarter. And All-Stars are people who are adults who were children of divorce, who have overcome all their family challenges and dynamics and are doing very well for themselves. And our first guest will be Justin Dunn. He is the director of group sales with the LA Clippers.
Fun.
So we're excited to have Justin, and it'll be
this Wednesday.
This Wednesday at 11:30. Yeah, and anybody who wants to check that out, it's free. So you can register through our website, which is kidsturnnesty.org. And right there on the homepage, the first slider is for the All-Stars.
Awesome. I think that oftentimes we just need to see that person, right? We need to see that example of what could be or can be. I was a teen mom, and I often think teen moms need to see an example of somebody who has, succeeded in life.
Yeah.
And business or whatever, right? Because so often the picture that's painted is one that's not great, right? And to just see that example of somebody to look to and say, hey, that could be me. So I think that that's a fantastic thing that you guys are doing. In terms of counseling, and you're talking, and I was thinking in my mind, my husband and I, we just celebrated 17 years married here this weekend.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Both of us previously married, brought, blended family, came together, and we have been blessed to be together and raising our now 7 children together. 5 of them grown and gone, and all awesome human beings. But I think about when we got together, and we went through 2 years of, it was so funny. We started like premarital counseling because we thought, well, we should go see somebody to help us through this getting married and blending families and all of that good stuff. I think so often people look at counseling or the need for counseling, and they associate it with a negative, like, oh, I have to go to counseling or whatever. And talk to me a little bit about how you guys help kids to embrace that, help families to embrace that, and the positive outcomes as a result.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's interesting too, because many of those who come to our program are court ordered from a family law judge. So they come sometimes reluctantly, like somebody is making me come, and they'll start the program maybe with their arms crossed or not so happy to be there. And it's really those parents oftentimes who make the largest change. And we have the biggest impact, because we're not about telling you you're wrong. We're not about making you out to be a bad person or a good person. What we're really about is helping you mitigate the change and transition from the relationship of, because many, when they come to us parents, they see themselves as X,
Right.
That's my ex. And to be an effective co-parent, an effective parent for your kids, when you think of that phrase of calling somebody else an ex, that's about your relationship with them. Mm-hmm. And part of what we do in our program is helping parents to forgive themselves, not necessarily other people, but whatever they're holding on to that causes them to continue to refer to the other person as an ex. Because again, that's about you and that relationship. If you can step out of this is a relationship between two adults and instead step into this relationship is because we made a child or children together. Right. And everything we have to do from this point forward is about our kids. Right? And if we can help you see that, then the arms go like this and the hugs come out. You know, I mean, on our graduation day, we've seen kids grab their parents' hands and walk off the program together because they go from being stuck in the middle to now having two parents that can put their kid jointly in the middle and walk off happily ever after, you know, so to speak, and really be effective together for that child. And not everybody walks off holding hands, don't get me wrong. But,
I would imagine not.
Right. But, you know, I mean, if we could help parents to see, and really this program is built on the premise that it only takes one person in a family to make a difference for the entire family to change. And oftentimes people really think of that as somebody else has to change and somebody else has to do it different. And we like to tell our parents, you have no control over anybody else but yourself. But if you make a choice and you start making those changes for yourself, if you say good morning to your co-parent, if you wave when you drop your kids off, that behavior is changing the behavior in everybody else. It's like a domino effect. Yeah. And, you know, it may not help for everyone, but we are true believers that kids deserve to have two parents that love them and that prioritize them. And the best way that we can do that is to provide some skills to teach parents ways that they can do that in the most effective ways possible.
I love that. And I don't, you know, my primary role in business is to work for Fairway Independent Mortgage. Our CEO he puts stuff out every day and a lot of insightful stuff, but he often tags if it helps just one. And the reality is, who are we to say which one, you know, if it helps one, if we just put forward our best efforts toward that end and you help one child, one family, that makes a difference, whether, like you said, oh, well, you know, with COVID, maybe 3 or 4 show up or, you know, whatever. Well, if it helps one, is it worth it?
Yeah, it is to us. Because you know what? If we can help one parent, if we can give a parent a new way of thinking about something, guess what we just did for that child? We just changed their world. We changed their world. And you know what? Our world needs to be positive now. And if we can help parents be in that positive place for their kids, well, then we had a good day at the office, right?
And well, you know, I can point to the odds were probably stacked against me in terms of, you know, my own personal situation and then decisions that I made myself and whatever, right? But,
right.
But there are definitely people that I can point to who said, hey, I'm going to pour in, right? I'm going to give in to this human being, to this little girl, to this woman, and it's definitely made a difference in my life. So I commend you for that. If someone has been inspired by what it is that we've been talking about tonight, and they're like, hey, you know what, I'd love to help out Kids Turn and help that, you know, just one, how do they learn more, give to Kids Turn? What does that look like in your world?
Yeah, so to learn more, a couple ways. You could visit our website, which is www.kidsturnsd.org. And you can look at frequently asked questions, look at our flyers. There's a whole section of updates that I've done around COVID and all that. You could also call our main line, which is 858-521-0027. And if you were inspired and wanted to make a gift, you can do that directly on our website as well. We are currently running a sponsored child campaign, and any donation will sponsor a whole family to attend, a child, or any donation in any amount supports children to attend our program. So lots of ways.
501c3, or what is your tax status?
Yes, we are a 501c3, so all donations are tax deductible, and we provide you a letter to support that gift.
Well, and like I said back at the beginning, my heart was just touched, because I think that if we can impact kids, that's going to make a difference all the way throughout life. So Cindy, thank you so much for being with us tonight. Is there anything else you want to share with our listeners before we part from one another today?
I guess as a final part or comment just would be, if you are an adult child of divorce, I am as well. We know that each and every one of us has been touched in some way. And, the other thing that we know is that we have to use a driving manual to get a driver's license. But when we have kids, there is no manual. There is nothing. And there is nothing wrong with reaching out and saying, hey, can somebody help me through this situation? Especially now with COVID, it is so hard with distance learning and remote learning. We do have a lot of resources on our website, so I encourage people to take a look at that. But know that whether it's Carrie or myself, that there's people here to support you, to support your kids. And sometimes all it takes is a phone call, or reaching out and sending an email. So we are here to help and support children and families, and Kids Turn San Diego is dedicated to helping children experiencing family separation, divorce, and military transition. So we are here to serve and here to help. So we're delighted that you had us on the program, Carrie.
Well, we're so grateful that you came and for all that you do, Cindy. Thank you, and have a great night. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks so much. You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.